Hi, everybody. I'm Cindy with Elevated Designs, and we're starting something new today. It's going to be a summer themed insert for my interchangeable sign. So let's go ahead and get started. I think I'm going to start off painting the sun, and what I want to do is I want this outside edge to be a little bit lighter. So if you see me paint other signs, you know what I'm going to do is mix some banana cream along with some white and try and get this as light as I can without being too light. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Saturday. It's trying to blow up a storm here, so hopefully I can get a lot accomplished. Let's see. Like I said, I want this really to be as light as possible. And then what I'll do is I'm going to highlight the tips of the sunbeams, the ray of the sun, with white. I think I want it just a little bit lighter than that. Yeah, they've been predicting bad storms for the last couple of days. High winds and, yeah, I think that's going to happen today. So I'm just going to take a sponge and do the outside edges. And then what I'll do is I'll come back and do the center with full strength banana cream. Now I do know this yellow is going to take a couple coats because it is light, and yellow is very, it's difficult to get good coverage with just one coat. And I kind of do want to be careful of these score lines. If I do get paint in them, I'll use my little tool to dig them out. Congratulations to Akron. They're in the finals for basketball. And I will be watching that game tonight. Wishing them all the luck to be the MAC championships champion winner again. And I know my little dog gets scared about the thunderstorms. I have a little Westie. She's about 7 years old, but she doesn't like the storms. Kaylee, why don't you stay in here with me? Kaylee. Her name is Kaylee. And how we named her is I had two other Westies at one time, and they're now gone, but one's name was Katie and the other one was Holly. And so they were both wonderful dogs, and when we got her, we decided to combine the names. And that's how we came up with Kaylee. Now we have four different elements. We have the beach ball, the sun, the popsicle, and a pair of flip-flops. And that will be the inserts. And I have a really adorable, another interchangeable insert for my sign. It's cut and ready to go. That's something we'll be starting on after I finish this. Now, if you seen my post on my Facebook page yesterday, the Uncle Sam fence speaker, the more I looked at it, I just didn't care for that other insert, the red, white, and boom insert. So I decided to do a framed version. And I've updated my listing, changed it. However, if you were to buy the SVG file, you're going to get both files. You'll get the scalloped version and you'll get the framed version. So you can choose which one you like. And regarding the DIY kit, you'll just have to choose something from the drop down. And I'm working on a really cute fall themed fence speaker as well. Sometimes there's just not enough hours in the week to design and fill orders when you have a job and you go to work at 5 in the morning. Well, you start off work at 5 in the morning. So I'm not able to put out a whole lot of designs like other designers, but I do what I can. And I think I've got some pretty cute designs and some unique designs. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Elevated Designs. If you haven't seen it, I put all the videos on there now. Facebook is going to be deleting live videos after so long. So I wanted to have these painting tutorials available for the public in case they wanted to see how I did things, see what colors I used. I use all Deco Art paint. 98% of the time I use Deco Art, and I always tell you what color I'm using. I'm just going to use this cruddy brush. This is what I use to stir my paint with. If you're new to painting, hopefully I can give you some tips and hints to help you. If you're struggling with a particular technique, please feel free to reach out to me, comment, whether it be here or on YouTube, and I will try and answer your question as quickly as I can. Yep, it's coming down pretty good. And from my understanding, it is going to rain all day. And what that means for out here, unfortunately, is a lot of flooding. And roads will be closing. So while that's drying, because I'm going to need to put at least 2-3 coats on there, I'm going to just try and float a little bit of highlighting on the tips of these beams. And I did make sunglasses to put on the sun. Good morning. Thanks for stopping in. Now, one thing about floating, you're always using water with your paint to blend your paint. And what happens is the color will fade because it's part water, part paint. So, and I always like to go lightly when I'm applying my shading and highlighting. So, 9 times out of 10, I have to go back and put another coat on. And I personally am okay with that. I like to build up my shading and highlighting. I don't like to put a whole lot of paint on from the beginning. That's just how I like to do things. Because I feel, and this is just my opinion only, when you don't blend your paint enough and you put a whole lot of paint on your brush when trying to float highlighting and shading, you get a harsh line. And I personally do not like harsh lines. Now, there will be times, that I intentionally do that, but personally, I don't like to do that. So it has to be a personal preference. As you can see, there's not much variation in these 2 yellows. A little bit, but not a whole lot. I am going to go back and brighten up these tips. Hopefully I can get them a little bit more whiter. And I will be floating inside that circle with a darker yellow. Just to add another color and, just try and create a different look. Well, some of these tips are a little bit brighter than others, so I might have to go back and hit some here and there. Because like I said, I know I wanted those tips to be pretty white and then fading. And that's what you're trying to accomplish when you float highlighting and shading, is you want what they call a gradient from where it goes from the solid color of paint to very light. That's the goal. That's what I actually try and strive to do. I think I'm going to put one more coat of yellow. And then we're going to try and shade. Yeah, I hope we don't lose electricity. But something tells me I think that's going to happen. It's pretty vocal outside. You can probably hear it in the background. Good morning. It's definitely a rumbling. All right. Now I think I'm going to try maybe a different type of yellow for my beach ball this time. A brighter yellow. Because I think I want one of my squares to be yellow. Good morning. The color they are saying to shade that with is a very interesting color. They're saying terracotta. One thing I love about decor is they put a lot of information out there. I mean, that's the color they're saying for yellow. I don't think so. So while I have this yellow paint out, I'm just gonna go ahead and use that banana cream to paint this portion of the beach ball. I agree with what they say 98% of the time, but sometimes there's certain colors that are recommended for highlighting and shading colors, and I don't agree with it. But other than that, they are spot on with their recommendations. They really are. Try just a little bit more, and then we're gonna shade this. You okay, Kaylee? You just lay here by me. Poor thing is underneath the table. My other two Westies were not really afraid of storms. I don't know why she is. The only thing I can think of is a bad storm came through when my husband and I were not home, and lightning struck probably really close to the house. It made a loud sound and it scared her. And so it's never been the same for her. So the shading color for this is antique gold. And it's a pretty darker color. So I like to make sure it's blended really, really well before I apply it. I like to make sure it's watered down and that it's blended really, really well on my tongue. Starting to run out of paint and water. And how you can tell that is your paintbrush will not move on the surface as smoothly. And then sometimes too, you can see the bristles of your paintbrush splitting. Now I will go back and touch up here and there, just some areas a little bit lighter than others. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And even though I'm using an angle brush, I'm trying to keep my brush as flat as I can on the surface. So I'm trying to make sure all the bristles are touching the surface at the same time, instead of trying to lean my brush towards the pointed end that the paint is on. The only time I do that is when I want, good morning, a darker line. And then I like to walk my float out a little bit to make it wider. And what I need to do is, because this is such a small area, even though I'm using a small brush, I strongly believe that if I was to go in shade right here, I would be wiping off part of my paint. So I always like to let that dry completely before I go and do another area, the other side. And I do have a dryer, but to drag it out and turn it on, it's loud, it's obnoxious. I just rather wait for the paint to dry naturally, and it takes a little bit longer, but I'm okay with it. So that's probably good enough. Now I'm going to do the sunglasses. I'm going to use, I believe I've been always using neutral gray, and then shading with zinc or graphite. And I'm going to paint the frames black. I just like the frames just plain black. I probably should get a smaller brush. And I redid my sticky board. And I'll tell you what, I love using this thing to paint on. The only thing is my hands stick to it. But all it is painter's tape turned upside down on a piece of cardboard. You can make it however big you want. And it's turned upside down, the pieces of tape. And I just kind of do them and leaving space in between. And you can tell I just keep piling it on after it gets up so high. I'll rip everything off and start fresh. But, and then I take the paint, the tape. What I do is I take this and then kind of fold it so the sticky side is hitting this and then sticking up. And then I'll take this tape and put over it to secure it down. It's really great for holding small pieces when you have to paint. It's a game changer. I don't know what the exact term of this little contraption is called, but I call it my sticky board. The only thing you have to do is you do have to be careful if you just changed your tape when putting like letters on or anything that's fragile, like something that has a thin area, because it's so sticky, you know, when trying to lift it off, you could very easily break whatever it is that you're trying to lift off. So keep that in mind if you are to do something like this. Something else you can do is if it's too sticky for you, just tap it with a napkin or a paper towel and it'll kind of dull down that stick. It won't, you know, and won't be sticky. Oh, that's weird. I have dark paint coming through. That is weird. It's very possible I didn't shake my bottle up good enough, or I didn't clean my brush good enough. Very weird. I'm gonna do another coat anyhow. I just like to make sure I have a really solid base coat on. That's just me. That's my personal preference. I don't like it looking blotchy. I don't like being able to see the wood underneath the paint unless that's something I'm doing intentionally. I just think it makes for a better finished product. That's just what I like. And I will go back and dry brush a little highlighting on the lenses just to kind of simulate a glare. But I want to get this base coated, get it a little bit shaded at the bottom, and then I'll go back and dry brush. So while that's drying, try and get a little... You okay, Kaylee? I kind of feel that I might have used the sand gray. But I'm going to just stick with these darker lenses. I'm thinking I use the sand gray shaded with the neutral gray. And highlighted with a little bit of white. When it comes to painting and like getting paint somewhere you don't really want it, I highly recommend getting Q-tips. You don't have to do the best. You know, just any type of cotton swab. Putting them in a little container and having them in your painting area. And then just dipping them in water and wiping off that area. I don't recommend, and you'll see me do it from time to time, but very rarely, trying to take the paint off with your brush. Because what you're doing is, eventually, after you keep doing that enough, you're going to ruin the bristles of your brush. So invest in some Q-tips. They're a lot cheaper than having to replace brushes, especially if you spend a lot of money on brushes. All right, let's see if I can get a little bit of shading. And I'm just going to use graphite, which is a pretty dark gray, and I'm just going to go like at the bottom, just to kind of darken the lenses up at the bottom. And I'll have to go back over it and make it a little bit darker. But I do want some variance in color. And what I'll do is I'll walk my float up. Something you can do too is you can actually take and dry brush if you wanted to. If I get it on the black paint, I'm not really worried about it because I am going to go around and touch up and put a little bit more black on here and there. I'm going to use a liner brush this time with hopes that I can get it up closer to those scored areas. And I think we'll just do a little dry brushing with some white. On the center. I just want to make sure I get as much paint off as I can. And then I'm just going to go to my surface, very lightly touching and kind of just going back and forth, doing a squiggly line straight down the center. If I get some on the black, then I'll just go back over it. But that's it for the glasses. I'll wait to glue everything on once I'm done. But you can put these glasses on wherever you like. I didn't put a score mark there. That way you can rotate your sun to be however you want it. And that's that. You can put it up higher if you want. You can put it in the middle of the circle. Whatever you think is best. I'll probably go about that high. And that's that. Part of me kind of wants to make a decision and maybe even put some shading around. And I think I will. Just gonna lightly use my cheater. And see if I can get a pretty small, faint float. And that's really faint, but I'll go over it again. I'm just trying to establish my line. So I just want the shadow to be kind of faint. I still want some of that lighter yellow showing through. And that'll be good enough. See, it just adds a different look to it. It just adds a little bit more shadow. It makes it look a little bit different. Something you can do too is if you wanted to brighten up that little area a little bit more, you can just dry brush some highlighting. So we'll just go ahead and glue it now. I'm just going to put a couple little dots on here. And that's that. And the sun is good to go. Okay. Let's try and paint this beach ball a little bit. I'm going to use coral shell as my orange. And this takes a couple coats as well. And then the color for the pink I'm gonna do is bubblegum pink, which is a little bit brighter pink. And what I'm gonna do this time around with some of these shading colors, because I personally feel they're too dark, I'm going to blend them with the base color. And that will calm it down for shading. Because the shading color for bubblegum pink is royal fuchsia. And I think it's too bright for me. It's way, way, way too bright. The next color I'm going to use is a color called Sweet Mint. It's a green. A greenish blue. It's an absolutely gorgeous color. because I am using somewhat of pastel colors, but by me shading on these little areas, what it does is it helps brighten up that section. So what I like to do is, if I'm going to mix a color I'm going to shade with, I'm going to take the one color, put it on my brush, come over, blend it a little bit, then I'm going to come back with still paint on my brush, dip it into the next color, bring it back over to my paper palette, and then just start blending them, mixing them. And if I feel that I need to make it darker, then I can do that. And that's going to need to be darker. The only thing bad with this is when you mix like this, you will never get the same color twice. It just, because you're not mixing the paint on your plate, you're mixing it on your palette. Now you could mix a shading and highlighting color on your plate. The only thing is, you're going to be using a lot of paint. And to me, I just feel that's wasteful. But that's just my opinion. I feel that when you mix paint, no matter how you're going to use it, I always like to end up making more than what I need, because if I need to, you know, go back and correct something, I have that extra. If the paint is not going on that great, you got to put more coats. I like to make sure that I have more than enough paint. So I always mix extra, and to me it seems like you're wasting paint. We're going to try and get this other side, and I might go back and just use a full strength of the Royal Fuchsia. But right now I just rather do a little bit of a blend with that other color. Hello. And because I have that bubblegum pink still on my palette, even just dip it into the Royal Fuchsia, I'm still blending it with that other pink, so it does mellow it out and calm it down a little bit. Alright, I need to do that orange, which that is the Coral Blush. I think I want that side just a little bit wider if possible. All right. I think I'm going to take a little bit of break because my water is pretty nasty, and it's hard to float with dirty water. So I'm going to empty this and I will be back shortly. Hopefully you will stick around. let's continue on. Something else I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this Bahama blue, but I want the soles of these flip-flops to be the Bahama blue as well. And to me, this is kind of like a bluish green. Oh, I think I'm just going to make, that's a little bit, it's not really the blue I was after. So I'm just going to paint the flip-flops this Bahama blue. And I think maybe I'll use shoreline blue for that beach ball. These inserts are going to be very bright and full of color. This is more like a blue-green. So I'm going to use shoreline blue because I know I want that more of a blue color. And then what I like to do to try and keep the paint from going on the sides, and there is a little bit there, is when I get to the edge here, I kind of lift my brush up. See, there's a big difference between the two. I did happen to touch that one part with my finger. Alright, let's see if I can blend a little bit of this shading color. I'm going to, it's bluegrass green for for the sweet mint, and it's pretty dark. And I don't want it that dark, so I'm going to try and mix some of that sweet mint and this bluegrass green to get a more milder shading color. And all I'm doing is, taking it to my paper palette and blending the paint till I come up with a color that I'm happy with. That's a little bit darker than what I wanted, but it's gonna have to do. Now I know turquoise is the shading color for this particular color, but it just blends too much. So I'm going to take desert turquoise and mix it with the shoreline blue to get a different shading color, just a little bit darker. I might have needed to darken that up a little bit. So I'll have to go back. And see, I didn't wait long enough and I wiped off that paint. Matter of fact, I'm just going to redo that period. that either. So, I'm gonna see if I can calm it down a little bit. Don't be afraid to experiment with mixing colors. If you're not getting the results that you want. All right. Okay, that color I'm gonna paint that section purple petal. And then the center will be the white. And I think what I want, I think that color will be nice for the flip-flop. So I'm going to paint these that bubblegum pink. Because like I said, I want this to be pretty bright. And then probably what I'll do is probably purple flowers. Well, I didn't cut that off good enough. Just using that purple petal again. For the flower. It's starting to dry, so it's not going on that great. That's definitely gonna be bright. Holy moly. Kind of thinking about changing the purple color. I think I'm gonna try this purple cow. Make it a little bit darker. We'll see how it goes. I think it's a little bit darker and a little bit brighter. Not a whole lot of variance, but enough. Okay, the shading color for the purple petal is a color called lavender. Well, let's see how this all looks together. I don't know, it might be a little bit too bright. Kind of switch things up. Kind of thinking I should have went with maybe a lighter pink. Like the poodle skirt pink, so I might be changing that. That is just a little bit more than what I wanted. I'm kind of fussy about my colors. I know what I'm after, and I don't mind repainting something if it's not what I'm after. I just don't stick with it because I'm too lazy to paint it again. That's just me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dry brush in the centers. I am going to be gluing something over top, a yellow center. But what I would like to try and do is expand a little darkness out around where these lines are, this flower. So I'm just going to use that lavender and kind of just go around in a circular motion and making my circle a little bit bigger. So I'm just kind of, what I'm trying to do is get some darker color where those lines are. And then I'm going to go back and probably take some wisteria. And highlight the tips. Yeah, I think that pink is probably better. Yeah, that's more of the look that I was after. And then I'll still use that bubblegum paint to do some shading. So it will add a little of that brightness back. But try some pink chiffon for some highlighting. And then I still gotta highlight and shade this. This color fades pretty good, so I definitely will be hitting that again. I'll take a little bit of that bubblegum pink and shade opposite of this highlighting. While I'm at it, I think I'll kind of just go below where these petals would be. Just add a little bit of brightness and a different type of color. I like to do a lot of detailed work. And it just takes extra time, and I don't mind doing it because I know in the end my finished product will look better. So it has to be a personal preference how much time you spend doing detailed work, and the more time you spend, I think you just end up with a better finished product. Hello. Hi, honey. hope you're having a good day. Not too bad of storms out here today. It was a little brutal for a little bit, but hopefully it's not too bad over there. I hope you're having something to eat. Hey, can I have some cheese puffs? Please, if you're still here. Yes, it is. A little windy out here. But yeah, can I have some cheese puffs? Because those were good. And give me a yeah. Ooh, John, that's a horrible combination. Oh my, okay. Yikes. Ooh. That's not enough for you for lunch. Just saying. And thank you. So what do you think so far if you're still here? Looking pretty summery. Yes, cheese puffs. Just like last time. Thank you. Those are a good snack. I like them. I'll snack on those while I'm watching the Akron game tonight. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate it. I love you. Well, thanks for stopping in. Hopefully the rest of your day goes fast. Bye, honey. All right. Let's try and paint that circle. And at least we got 3 elements done. All we have left really is the squares, the rectangle, and this partially eaten popsicle. And I'm going to make it a tricolor popsicle. And my thoughts are the bright pink, yellow, and a bright green. Like, I might even go orange. I don't know yet. That's what I'm thinking. Or yellow. I haven't decided. So, that'll be something I probably do either later on today or finish up tomorrow. So if you're watching this and doing a replay, let me know your thoughts if you want to comment. If you don't, okay. Now this is going to take a couple coats. I always try my best not to get the shading in this little area, but it just doesn't always happen. And white is tough to base coat with as is. And even though I know this is going to take a lot of coats, I don't want to be tempted to put it on thick. And here's the reason why. The surface will look sloppy and chunky and full of brush strokes. And it just won't look nice, in my opinion. So I rather just put it on a little bit at a time. All right. Let's kind of get these off of here. Let's, oh, I still gotta shade these. I keep forgetting. Shade and highlight it. All right. All right. The highlighting color is bleached sand. And the shading is desert turquoise. So we'll start off doing a little highlighting. And I know I want the tips of these toes a little lighter. I've got too much water on my brush, but that is nothing new. So I'm just gonna lighten those up a little bit. And then I just kind of want to go around this little curve part. And highlight that a little bit. And I am going to widen that because what is happening is there's one flip-flop on top of the other. So this is one that's on top, so I want this to have more highlight, but this is going to have a little bit more shadow. I am going to try and, create that illusion of layers. I'm going to move this ball away so it's not in my way. This white is probably going to take 3 coats of paint, maybe 4, to get rid of all those dark colors underneath. And I'm really making sure that I allow these layers to dry in between, so I'm not pulling off the paint, because that's what happens if you don't allow the layers to dry in between applying coats. You will pull off the paint. I think I'm just gonna try and go all the way around. And get a little bit more lightness there. And I know the desert turquoise to me is just a little bit too bright to suit me. So I'm going to try my best to blend that desert turquoise in with the Bahama blue. And hopefully I can get a milder shading color. Boy, I got a lot of paint on my fingers. That's not normal. I will probably go and darken that up, but I just want to wait to see what it looks like. Because paint always seems to dry a little darker. That's not a bad shading color. I think I needed that a little bit darker. Just a little bit more. We'll see how that goes. And this probably is going to take 4 coats because I'm putting it on pretty thin. And if I happen to get a glob of paint on there, I'm actually then taking my paintbrush and spreading it out, which is thinning out the layer. Alright. So I think that's probably good enough for that. So, let me see if I can bring that shading over just a little bit more in that one area. At the bottom. Alright, we will see. Oh, wind is picking up again. I don't feel like these are going on good enough. I definitely don't have enough paint. I mean, glue. So, and I need to wipe off these edges because that's interfering with things as well. It's kind of giving the illusion to me that the petals are not on straight. Because if I'm not mistaken, and I could be incorrect, and I'll have to look at this a little closer. These petals are all the same size. Which they are. Okay, let's try it again. And then when it comes to gluing on here, you have to have them tilted at an angle because you want to line up the side here. The longer side is really where it's at as far as lining them up. So I think I personally think the best thing to do is just get your glue on the flower. And then kind of worry about lining up this right here. Then you don't end up with a bunch of glue everywhere. Because even though this glue is going on clear, it will dry white. And I'm moving this all around. All right. Let's see, one more coat. It just needs it more on the outside edges here, because that's where that's really dark. And I will be getting the spring insert, sign insert, listing available this weekend on Etsy. I might just go ahead and do that after I'm done with this. But I'll post on my page when it's available. Alright. So, this is where we're at. We've got these 3 elements done. And all we have is this and my squares. How long have I been on here? Yeah. So I've been on here 2.5 hours, so that's pretty long. Long enough. So, you never know, I could come back on later, but it will be much later to do another live. But you can always catch the replay, or you can go to my YouTube channel. I have it uploaded there. I'll have it uploaded there shortly, and you can watch it there as well. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. I have all these put in a playlist, and they're in order and easy to know which part is what. I have them very well titled and organized, and that way it just makes it easier for you folks to find whatever it is that you're looking for. If it's a newer series that does not have, I haven't finished it, and I have a photo of the finished product, you're going to see a picture saying photo coming soon. And then once I have it completely painted and photographs taken, I will put that with the series. So, yeah, I'm really liking YouTube. Really like it a lot. It's a shame that you have to find another platform, but I am a big YouTuber. That is a great place to go if you're looking to learn how to do things. That's why I'm doing this. Not only do I like to paint, and I do need to paint these things so I can get them finished and create photos of finished product, but I enjoy watching other people paint. I learn things. I learn things to do, things not to do. I'm here to hopefully inspire and make you want to learn how to paint. Like I said, you can always reach out to me if you have any questions, whether it be through Facebook, through YouTube. You can even go to my Etsy shop and ask. But I'm hoping, you know, that I inspire people and make them want to paint, because this is wonderful. Painting is wonderful. It's relaxing. What I like personally is, you know, you're taking a flat piece of wood with lines on it, and, you know, you're turning it into something like this. And all it takes is a little bit of time and, you know, and how much effort you want to put in to your painting. So, you know, it's not hard. My patterns are not hard at all. My designs are not hard. It's, you know, how much effort do you really want to put into it is what the end result will be. So, but hopefully, like I said, I am inspiring people to paint, and, you know, I'd love to see what you do if you buy my designs. I get people that review and put photos up, and I absolutely love their creativity and what they do. I think it's fabulous. So that just thrills me when I see that. But anyways, if I do come back on, the video, you'll get a notification on Facebook, and the video will be uploaded to YouTube. If not, I might come on for a little bit tomorrow. You know, what else we have to do is pretty easy. I definitely have to decide what colors I want to make these squares, and I have to decide what color with this. I'm kind of thinking a very, very light yellow like I did here. That's what I'm thinking, because I want these other colors to be bright, and the wording summer is going to be actually these 6 colors. So, and I'll probably do a little bit of shading, maybe even a little bit of highlighting, giving them just, you know, something, make them stand out more. So, until then, until the people that stopped by and said hi, and whether you watch now or whether you watch later, thank you so much. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.